Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tilting Ground Untitled Notre Dame USC Football Podcast. I'm USC fan Michael Muto, and I'm here with Notre Dame expert and the hardest working man at UHND.com, Greg Flamong. Greg, how was the Notre Dame game?
It was a delightful experience, my friend.
Was it fun seeing them in person?
It was. You know what? It was very non-stressful. Because all the other games I've been to were like the 2012 contest against Michigan. That was super stressful, and then the 2012 game against USC, which, you know, if they win, they go to national championship game. That was super stressful. And then I went in 2015 against Georgia Tech, and, you know, they ended up being bad. But at the time, like, you know, they were in the top 15, and everyone thought
it was a close game, if I recall correct.
Well, it wasn't, and then it was. It was 30-7 in the fourth quarter, and then Georgia Tech scored some late touchdowns. But it was like you enter the game, and it like there's actual like, is Notre Dame going to win? Yeah. This one was like Notre Dame scored 2 times. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I'm actually just going to sit here and enjoy watching my team be good.
So what was the makeup of the crowd? Was it mostly Notre Dame fans, mostly military people, just mostly people there to watch a football game since San Diego doesn't have a team?
It was mostly Notre Dame fans. I would say at best 70-30 pro Notre Dame.
Okay. I mean, it's hard to get behind Navy. Let's be real; they're not.
Well,
they're not good.
I mean, you know, there's a base right there, and so there's.
But even the guys on the base probably root for Notre Dame.
Well, like who's traveling, right? And there's just like how many Navy fans are there really going to be? So, you know, there's a lot of Notre Dame people, and I think a lot of people, you know, who went to Notre Dame also were in the Navy. So I think there's kind of a
right. There's some overlap.
Yeah, there's some overlap there. Friendly crowd, right? Like no problems. I mean, right. I've read on Twitter some things that went on, but, you know, generally speaking, you know, no issues. I mean, I think it's easy for me because, you know, my pregnant wife, she's no one's going to give her any whatever. So
hopefully not.
Right. The stadium is still a dump. Oh my God, that stadium is just ridiculous. I mean, like there are probably like 150 better like high school stadiums than this one is.
Wow.
It's just
no one's used it for a long time, right?
It's just so outdated. I don't know. Like, does San Diego State play there? I don't even know.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's just like the way that they get everyone in the stadium is just like herding cattle. Leaving, there's like 3 exits. Although we had planned it very nicely, so we got out fairly quickly. It's just it's not really suitable for modern college football viewing.
Athletics.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly though, for the fact that they don't really use it, the field was immaculate.
Well, it's Southern California.
Yeah, the field was great. So kudos to the ground crew who are just keeping it up for whatever reason.
So what stood out to you in person for Notre Dame since you got to watch it with your own eyes? I think we could be a little more fun here because it was Notre Dame Navy. It was a blowout.
Yeah, it's hard to
dissect too much.
It's hard to really get a read because like the defense, like they're playing against this goofy offense, right? So it's like you don't really know. Like it's hard to evaluate them because they're doing this stuff that they don't do against any other team. I think my biggest takeaway. I always have 2 takeaways, or like one main one, and then there's one specific to this one. The first one is like it's weird watching a quarterback who it's like every throw is pretty much right where you want it to be. Like Ian Book threw one pass. It was on 3rd and 8. It was in the first half, and it was like just a bad throw. Like he was throwing an out route to Alize Mack, and it was like high and just not accurate. And it's like, oh wow, that's weird. Like that was weird. Like he didn't throw a complete pass. But everything else, like it's always like right where you want it, on time. You know, like he's not throwing the deep ball, but it's just weird to watch that. Like it's like wow, everything's working. That's great. The second thing is like, and this is for every game that I've ever been to, no matter what team it is. It's like these guys are so good at football. They're so good. Like they
like the TV screen hides it.
yeah, like they're just like mini professionals. Like you don't realize like these are 19, 20-year-old kids who 2 years ago were playing at your local high school stadium, and now there's like 63,000 people watching them play in this game, and they're so like every time they do something that's like a little bit off, we're like, what the heck? And it's like, dude, these kids are so excellent at this game. And I was remarking to Amy, like, South Bend is 2,000 miles from where we were. It's this like little town in Indiana, and we're sitting in San Diego, and this team is filling this stadium with their fans. Who's like, how many like traveled? You know, how many people would like come from South Bend? Like, not that many, right? Right. And it's just like people around the area who all love Notre Dame, and they fill a stadium. And
did it feel good to be with your people?
Yeah, kind of. It's different though. It's different when it's different when it's at a neutral site like that. It's almost like going to a sports bar and watching it.
Whereas, like the local meetup.
Yeah, exactly. Except we're at the game. Whereas you go to Notre Dame and it's a lot more like you get the student body is there, and it's like, you know, that's the real thing. Because like Notre Dame didn't send their band, which I mean,
they don't do that a lot, right?
Like send the band. Yeah, it's like send the band. What? You don't have the money?
They definitely have the money.
You have all the money. Like, what are you talking about? Send the band. So that always kind of takes away. Like, you don't hear the fight song. But yeah, it was a fun time. Fun time. We left right at 44:22. You know, that was my stipulation to Amy because she really wanted to get home. Because, you know, the kids and, you know, Greg, the traffic. I want to get out of here before the traffic. And
yeah.
And she did me a solid by agreeing to drive down there anyway. So
that's true.
It was good. Yeah, we got home. You know, we got home before 10. So that's
not too bad.
Yeah, especially for a night game. So, do you want to talk about the actual game?
Yeah, let's talk about the actual game. So, I checked in here and there. I was tuning in. I noticed that after halftime, the Navy quarterback had 3 yards passing. So that must have been very exciting to watch.
It was kind of crazy how like they couldn't do anything on offense. Like usually Navy moves the ball, you know, and it's like they got to settle for a field goal or something. They couldn't do anything. Like they had so many 3-and-outs. Like I don't know if you saw this, but like Notre Dame's first play was a fumble. You know, the first play they threw a pass to Boykin and he's cutting across the field and he fumbles and Navy recovers. And I had just been telling Amy, like, well, because you had texted me about the spread, right?
Yeah.
And I had told her, like, that, you know, he said Notre Dame minus 24. And she was like, well, that's a lot of points. And I was like, yeah, you just got to do the math. Like, how many possessions are they going to get and how many touchdowns are they going to score on all those possessions? And then you figure, like, what's Navy's cap of points? Like, maybe 17, 20.
Right.
And so Navy wins the toss and elects to defer, which is weird. And then Notre Dame gets it, and I told her, I was like, so they kind of have to score on this possession. And on the first play, they fumble. So not great.
But things were better after that.
Well, then Navy went 4-and-out, right? They got stopped on 4th and 2, and Notre Dame went down and scored. And then Navy had to punt, and then Notre Dame went down and scored. And then it was, I mean, that was it. Then they pretty much scored on every possession in the first half. Navy couldn't do anything. I mean, it's 27-0. You know,
Yeah.
well, that's
and then
wrong.
Navy kind of like they didn't come back, but like they scored some touchdowns, ruined the cover.
It did, and like everyone who lost money, it's kind of Troy Pride's fault, the corner, because he gave some shaky effort on some plays. He was very much not into it. Like he was not about wanting to tackle them. I guess he had like an ankle injury, and everyone said he was fine. He didn't look fine. He dogged it on a play, and then he got pulled. So,
whoops.
And then he didn't play anymore. So, I mean,
he doesn't want to get hurt playing Navy.
He doesn't want to get hurt playing Navy. But let me tell you something, Michael. And this is the thing this is a little inside baseball for like the way that this sort of thing gets handled in film. So, and do you know what I'm talking about?
I do not. Go on.
Okay. So on the first play of the second half, they get the ball and they run like a little option play and they pitch it to this kid. And Pride comes up and it's a clear shot, right? And he's got him for, 3-4 yard gain. And he just kind of shoves him. But the kid's like running at him. So what he ends up kind of doing is just shoving him forward. Like he's almost propelling him toward the end zone. And there was another, Aquara, he kind of did the same thing, but like Pride was really like the guilty
main
party.
Culprit. Yeah.
Yes. Like Amy noticed it. She was like, what is 5 doing?
Bad effort.
And I was like, oh, that's not good. Amy sees it, then you did something wrong. And so Julian Love and Asmar Bilal have to go sprinting 50 yards to chase him down, which they eventually do. And on the next play, he has to make a tackle again, and again he whiffs on it. And then the kid goes down to the 1, and then they pulled him. And this was, 2 minutes into the second half, so he doesn't play the rest of the game. And the way that gets handled in film is the coach is going to replay it the whole time. And he's going to say, look, here's the thing, right? Like, you don't want to make a tackle, right? Which is pretty clear to me watching this. But now your buddies have to go sprinting 50 yards to chase him down. So it's like you're jeopardizing them. They have to do all this work because you didn't want to hold up your end of it. And then you did it on the next play. So they bailed you out and gave you another chance to redeem yourself. And then you insulted them by not giving effort on the very next play. And like, that's the sort of thing, like, they're going to make it so like you feel bad because you let your teammates down.
Right.
Like the coach is like, I'm not mad, but they should be mad because look at all they did for you. So that's how that gets handled.
I assume this gets forgotten, though. I mean,
totally.
It was a big win.
Look, I mean, look, if he was, I'm just saying, like, that's how that sort of thing gets weeded out in like a film session. Like he's been good all year. He hasn't, this is the first time it's come up. He does. And he was good last year in this game too. So the other big thing is Tranquil got hurt. He got rolled up on, and in the stands it looked like it was his knee again because he looked really upset. And I couldn't tell where they were looking because his back was to us. I thought he had tore up his knee again, but it turns out it's just his ankle. So
he's okay-ish.
Yeah, like I guess the boot is off now. Kelly thinks he might be able to play this weekend, but I mean ankle injuries, you know how that is.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
So who else looked good in person or in the game or what?
I mean, my big, happy moment was like just Dexter and Jafar Armstrong like looking great. Like I wrote about them. Like I think I mentioned them in like 3 articles over the bye week and into the week of the Navy game. Just like they're going to share the field together for the first time. I'm excited to see how that goes. And I think they combined for, I think it was 40 touches for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that's good.
That's real good.
So it's, that's the first time that they shared the field together, and that was, kind of
Dynamic
my
look.
thing. Yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
Hold on one second. Let me
Okay.
check on the baby and mom.
Okay.
Okay. Are you there?
Yeah, huh?
All right.
You okay?
Oh yeah, I'm great.
Okay. All right.
All right. Write that down. Okay. All right, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we know that Notre Dame looked good against Navy. The running backs look good. Navy's an easy team. But the big news for Notre Dame, college football playoffs rankings came out today. That's why we waited an extra day, and because of my schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And Notre Dame is ranked number 3. How do you feel?
They're actually ranked 4, Michael.
4? That was 3. I looked.
No, they're ranked 3 in the AP. They're 4. They're 4 in the college football playoff.
Who's 3?
LSU.
Huh. That does explain the tweet I saw.
Yes.
With Ed Orgeron's face.
Yes. Yeah, they don't. People are kind of upset about that.
A little bit.
Mostly because our best win is against number 5, and LSU's best win is against number 6. And one of us has lost the game, and it isn't our team. So
yeah, it's a little weird.
I mean, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, here's the thing: if LSU plays Alabama this week, if LSU loses, then they will not be number 3 anymore. And if
crisis, problem takes care of itself,
right? And if Alabama, and if Alabama loses, then maybe LSU should be above Notre Dame. Like
if it doesn't make good sense.
If you beat Alabama, then maybe you're pretty good. So, whatever. Notre Dame's 4. I like it because I think this is the second time that Notre Dame has been in the playoffs. So, like, they were I think in the top 4 in 2015. And then they dropped out because they kept looking like not a great team, and then they ultimately lost to Stanford.
Yes.
But that was with one loss. And the same was true last year. Is like they were number 3, but it's like, it was still kind of like we have one loss, so like, do we have enough quality wins to actually make it? This year, it's like, look, we're undefeated. If we win all our games, we're going to be fine. Like, we're going to be in it. So, like, whether you're 4 or 3 or 2 or whatever, I don't really care. Right.
As long as you're there when it starts and you're undefeated, you get the credit for being there. You're not outside looking in.
Right. Now,
some dumb Big Ten school or some other SEC school is not.
Right. Like,
I guess LSU is, but
let them figure it out. We're undefeated. You all do whatever you got to do. We'll just play whoever we got to play.
Like, if Michigan were number 4, Notre Dame were number 5, that would not be great.
Well, then it would be like, why are we even playing these games? Like,
Right.
I mean, what? Like, we play games and we win the games, and then you want them to be in, even though we beat them. All right, that's cool.
I mean, I imagine someone in that room wanted that scenario.
Right.
There's no doubt in my mind.
Right. I was having a discussion with a couple of fellows on Twitter today because Brian Kelly was like, look, I don't care about the rankings. It doesn't matter. The one I care about is the last one, da, 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 right? Like the whole, I'm ignoring it kind of thing.
Right.
And my opinion is I'd go the other way. Like I would embrace it. Like I'd be like, you know what? If we're ranked in the top 4, like I'm going to address it with the team and we're going to talk about being in number 4 and we're going to embrace being a playoff team and we're going to go from there. And these guys basically, they're taking the stance of like focus on just winning kind of thing, right? Like,
I mean, it's easy to say.
Right. Well, focus on the games, right? Like the coach should be preaching like, we got to win one at a time. Don't worry about the ranking. If you worry about rankings and that sort of thing, like you're taking your eye off the ball, and that's beating, Northwestern and then, Florida State and Syracuse or whatever. And my thing is like, I don't like it when Notre Dame does the thing of like, just keep your head down, one game at a time, blah, 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 blah.
On to the next one.
Yeah, on to the next, the New England Patriots stuff.
Yes.
And it's like, look, you're not the New England Patriots. And that sort of like mindset has not worked for you in the past. Like, I want them to be aggressive about it. Like to say, like, look, we're a playoff team right now. We're undefeated. We beat number 5. Like, we are good. And let's go out and play like we're a playoff team.
Like, it's exciting. It's a positive. It's not a negative.
Yeah.
Like Nick Saban can say, I'm just worried about recruiting right now and, do all that stuff. Like, this isn't important to me. Like, that's all fun. But, yeah, like, you're Notre Dame.
Just own it. And just be like, you know what? We're number 4, and we're in the playoffs. And because the thing is like, I listen to all these Notre Dame podcasts, right? Every outlet, and they all talk about how can Northwestern beat Notre Dame? How is Northwestern going to give Notre Dame trouble? And it's the same thing for Florida State and Syracuse and USC, like every single one of those teams. And you know what? Like maybe that's all true or whatever, these teams can beat Notre Dame, but like that's not a secret, right? Like it's not a secret to any of the players or to anyone who follows it that if you play bad, then then you could lose.
Yeah, it's like shocking.
Right. It's like, this is college football, right? These kids aren't stupid. So just tell them, like, look, do you know who has a tough matchup? Northwestern has a tough matchup because Notre Dame's coming. Like, you're playing Notre Dame this week, and that's going to be a big problem for them because we're really good. And we're going to go out there and we're going to play like a playoff team because we are a playoff team because we're better than all these teams.
They got a good quarterback, great defense, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Like, look at these horses that we have. Look at our defensive line. Look at our offensive line. Look at our running
Williams is back, yeah.
Exactly. It's like
stars
they
everywhere.
Matchup. It's like, oh, they're ranked X on defense. Like, well, you know what? They're going to be worse next week because they're playing Notre Dame.
I mean, that's what LSU does. That's how they feel right now.
Yeah, so that's how I want them to approach it. It's like embrace it, because you know what? Like everyone, like Northwestern thinks like, oh, Notre Dame, like we can beat them, we can beat that team. Like
to be fair, Northwestern probably thinks they can beat most teams. It's like a bad example.
No, but what I'm saying is like they think that, and it doesn't mean that they're wrong to think it. But Notre Dame's point of view should be like, no, like you're playing a real team this week. Like we don't care that you almost beat like Booty Michigan. Like we don't.
Right. You hang tough with Duke.
Right. You hung in there with some goofball Michigan team that we already beat with our backup quarterback and without Dexter Williams. So good for you, but you're fighting a different animal this week. That's how I want them to feel. Like none of this, like, oh, can we hang in there and get to 12-0? Like, no. We want to actually beat you by like 5 touchdowns.
It just doesn't seem very Notre Dame of you, though.
It doesn't, but that's what I want.
You could be the change.
So that's my opinion. That's how I feel about it.
So it's 9.5. What do you think?
Give the points.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Give them up. I don't want them.
Go
do the thing, man.
I like the confidence.
Go do the thing. Go whoop them.
Well, you know who doesn't have confidence, Greg?
Who doesn't?
The USC Trojans.
Michael. You know, I was afraid, Michael. So when we were driving, and Amy was giving me updates because I was driving to the game, and she said it's 24-7, and I said, "Oh no, they're gonna fire him." I was like, "They're gonna fire him today." Like I was like, "This is not good. I don't want him to get fired."
He has to stick around through Notre Dame.
Exactly,
at the least.
And then when we got to the restaurant, I checked the score, and it was 28-24, and I was like, yes, they came back.
Well, Clay Helton got the vote of confidence from athletic director Lynn Swann today, so no need to worry right now.
And by the way, our friend Tim Norkus, I mean, I have a source because he has a source. He was telling me, like, everything that happened today, he was telling me it was going to happen because his uncle heard about it.
We have insider sources.
I totally have a source. I could go on my Twitter and be like, sources say
breaking news
conference today.
So the news around town is after the loss to Arizona State, T. Martin is no longer calling some of the plays. I forgot how he phrased it on Twitter. It was a very telling phrasing. And offensive line coach Neil Callaway has been fired.
Man.
So, I mean, a lot too late, or a little too late. I don't know.
Too little, too late.
Is that too little, too late? Is that the phrase? Yeah. It seems like a big bunch of who cares.
Well, there's something I want to talk about the actual game.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Jack Sears, full credit. The kid was 20-28, 235 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no picks.
And it started out real shaky.
But he came through when they needed him. And let me tell you something, Michael. And this is the thing about, like, good teams and bad teams, okay? That defense should not be giving up. I mean, they ultimately gave up, I guess it was 31 points because 7 of that came on a punt return. So I guess, although you probably have a lot of defenders on that group as well, but whatever. You gave up. You can't give up 31 points. You got your third-team quarterback in there.
No, you can't. Well, so I knew they were in trouble, and I couldn't believe they got back in the game when, on the 4th offensive play of the game, USC ran a speed option left with their right-handed quarterback who's never played in a college football game before. And if that's not setting people up for failure, I don't know what is.
It was a bad pitch.
Like the guy blitzed it, so there was a guy like right in Jack Sears' face. So it was a bad pitch, and it was a fumble. The Arizona State recovered and scored a real quick touchdown because it was right by the goal line.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's just like I've never seen him run a speed option.
I was going to say I didn't know that was in the playbook.
Neither did I, but they thought Jack Sears is back there. Let's open it up, and going left, and he's right-handed. He doesn't, it's pitching is not fun. You're worried about getting hit. You're worried about there's a lot that goes on, and especially in a guy who's never started.
I mean, there's a lot of
moving parts, as they say.
There's ball handling there.
It's like that's been my complaint, for the entire run of this podcast, all 4 seasons of it, is that they just don't put players in positions to win, and that is a sterling example. Maybe it's T. Martin who no longer calls plays, So,
I was going to say the person who called that is not going to do it anymore.
however, Clay, that could have been one of the 4 or 5 plays that Clay Helton called during the game. I don't know. So it's just stuff like that just makes you so mad. But no, Jack Sears is a gamer, a baller. They put him up for Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, which I thought was really funny because he's not going to start this week.
It's good. He was good enough to the point where it's like, why were they messing around with Matt Fink?
That's what I never understood. I never understood that because back to last season I was a Sears guy, and I thought he just wasn't playing to save his eligibility, and who knew if Daniels was going to commit or not or
Right.
reclassify, and so I always just assumed Sears was the quarterback in waiting, and because he could throw, unlike Matt Fink who can't throw.
I mean, he played good enough to win.
Yeah. I mean, he threw a great deep ball to Taylor Vaughns, who just dropped it in the end zone. It's just like, I mean, that was the game right there. They were winning when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a beautiful ball, and the guy who's making plays all game long, misses a critical one, so that sucks. But yeah, man, Jack Sears was good.
I thought he was fine.
He started off, like I said, a little noodle armed, a little, wide eyed. But
he
had like a 20-yard run. He broke off. And then after that, he kind of settled in and looked good. He had a great drive before the half where they scored a touchdown to Michael Pittman, who Michael Pittman is, I'm going to say, underrated.
A monster.
I know. Yeah. Like, I think he's next to Tyler Vaughns and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who hasn't done anything in weeks. But yeah, that guy's good at football, man. There was a play early in the game where Jack Sears threw an interception. It was just an interception.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Pittman came and just batted the ball away from the defender on the way down.
Yeah.
He's always good on special teams. Every now and then he gets like a dumb unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. At least he did when he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
But he's always around the ball. I felt like he was always ready to block punts when he was on special teams. Like, that guy's just a good football player.
He's very good. I was thinking, actually, I think he was on the drive home. I was like, if you could just switch out USC's top 3 receivers for Notre Dame's, I mean, that's the national champion right there.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, those guys are just – like, Tyler Vaughns is playing great ball right now.
Yeah, he returned a punt.
Throwing touchdown passes.
Yeah. I saw a fun stat. Remember in the season preview I mentioned that there was a knock on USC wide receivers, and T. Martin is the USC wide receivers coach, that none of them get better while in the program.
Interesting.
And I saw a tweet today that Juju Smith-Schuster is the fastest Pittsburgh Steeler to 1,500 yards or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is weird because he's not even the best receiver on his team.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, give him a little coaching, give him a good quarterback. I know it's a different system, but still. Like, he was pretty non-existent that his senior year or whatever his last year. And now he's out there. Now he's in Pizza Hut commercials.
I feel like Tyler Vaughns, I mean, what is he, a redshirt sophomore?
That sounds right.
I mean, he's pretty good, right?
He's pretty good, but is he better than he was at the end of last year?
Well, I mean, at the end of last year, he had the number 2 pick throwing the football.
Great point.
I mean, I don't know. Like his numbers aren't as good, but I feel like all things considered, Michael Pittman, like Michael
Pittman like dominated the Pac-12 title game.
That's true.
And he returned a punt against UCLA, though it wasn't like he was breaking tackles or anything, but he still did it.
All right, look. Michael Pittman last year, 23 catches, 404 yards.
But he had to wait till his dad got to Twitter.
I'm just saying, like,
start.
But he's better.
He is better,
right? And you've now 27 catches, 561, 6 touchdowns. Kid averages like 21 yards a catch. Jesus.
I know.
Oh, Jesus.
These guys can't beat Arizona State.
I mean, I'll be honest, dude. I will not be that upset if these guys are just totally not interested come week 12.
They might not be. We had a text conversation where you said Cameron Smith might hang it up if his hamstring and knee keep bothering him. I was like, no, he's too gritty. But now I think he might.
I mean, look at for what purpose, especially when you've got this freshman who's like, people are kind of like, hey, we kind of want to see how good he might be. Cam, why don't you take your time?
But yeah, so I don't know. The defense may check out, so that's not great. Marvell Tell was out of the game last week. There were some people on the Twitter, I think, who was calling him soft, which is a little unfair.
That's ridiculous.
Because he had stingers.
I mean, people who've never had a stinger. Like, dude, like first of all, a stinger is, like, not cool.
No.
I mean, it's like nerve pain. Like, Jesus. Like, it's like nerve pain in your shoulder and your neck. Let me tell you something. You don't want to mess around with that. You do not want to mess around with that.
No, the spinal cord stuff, no thank you.
No.
Yeah, so Cam Smith, Porter Gesson's out for the season, so the three best Trojans going into the season were all not there against Arizona State. So, yeah, who knows if they come back? Who knows who wants to play? It's just anything's possible with USC. Thankfully, they get to play Oregon State, who is not good at football.
I don't know. They just beat Washington.
So they can't beat two good teams in a row, right? Like, they got that out of the way.
They probably can't, to be honest. But here's the thing, though. Like, what's the weather going to be up there? Is it going to be, like, rainy and gross?
What JT Daniels do we get? What is he worried about Jack Sears over his shoulder?
Oh, no, he ran first team today.
Yeah, no, he did.
I'm going to check the weather. I'm checking the weather.
All right.
Because let me tell you something. If it's, like, cold and rainy and gross, Michael.
Because USC can't run, so.
But, like, I mean, I'm thinking more like, hey, do we really want to
are we gonna get hurt? Do we want to, like, try?
Do we really want to try hard in this game? Let me see, Michael. Let me see. Get the little 5-day action here. They're in Corvallis, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Michael.
We got rain?
No. Well, so, okay. So tonight there's rain. Tomorrow there's rain. On Thursday, AM fog, PM clouds. On Friday there's rain. And on Saturday it's AM fog, PM clouds. And on Sunday there's rain. So I feel like there could very easily be rain.
Or some residual rain effects.
Right. So it's going to be cold and damp. Like, it's going to be 60 degrees, 51. I don't know, Michael.
You know what I was thinking about? This is kind of a non sequitur here. Okay. But when I'm thinking about cold weather and running the ball and stuff, we give out end of season awards every year. And one of them is for best offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. So in my head yesterday, I was trying to, like, give out the awards. I have no idea who I'd give that award to. Like, maybe it's the guy who lines up at fullback every now and then. Like, I just have no idea. Okay. Zero.
Uh-huh.
And I know that the offensive line is much maligned, but, like, I'm really hard pressed to actually give the award out. And I can't. We have 4 more games, so, and the Sun Bowl, so 5 more games.
I don't know, Michael. You're not qualified yet.
Great point. UCLA's getting hot. Notre Dame has to come to town. Oh, I mean, Clay Helton finally lost in the Coliseum, so that's got to make Notre Dame feel good. His invincibility streak is over.
Honestly, I am glad that they lost, just because, like, I want them to feel like, okay, like, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah. So let's see. SC is a 16.5-point favorite on the road at Oregon State.
Okay.
So that seems nice. I thought it was going to be a lot less before I looked. But you don't know. I mean, coaches are fired. Like you said, coaches are fired. Like, who knows who shows up? Mm-hmm. There could just be a lot of going through the motions. And Clay Helton's calling the plays. Who knows if that's an upgrade or a downgrade?
Yeah, man. That guy is so transparently, like, full of BS.
Like if he thought T. Martin was doing a good job, I mean, who knows what kind of job he can do?
He's just like, oh, I've been itching to get back to calling plays. It's like, have you, Clay? Have you been itching? Jeez.
Or have you been calling this whole time and just not telling people?
Probably. Jeez. And then did you see T. Martin changed all the stuff on his Twitter?
Yeah, that's real mature.
That's fantastic.
He took all the USC stuff off his Twitter.
That is,
but
super
no, but
petty.
he's happy to be there. He has no problem not calling plays. Still prepping the guys for the game.
So, like during the game, like what does he do? Like, is he still up in the booth, or
he's got to be up in the booth, right?
Like, do they give him a headset, but they like don't turn it on, like it's not connected to anyone?
I'll send some questions and emails out just to see.
He's just talking,
just to see what happens.
Yeah,
but yeah, who knows?
He's just talking.
Who knows, man? It's a whole new world. A T. Martinless world. Because he is persona non grata in USC circles.
But then he's their best recruiter, Michael.
I know. So when he goes to some SEC school, when he becomes the offensive coordinator at Alabama, just like all the other SC cast-offs,
he's gonna be calling plays for a Super Bowl team soon, Michael.
Just like Sarkisian.
Yeah.
Whew. You only fail up at USC. By the way, I don't think I mentioned it last week. Speaking of former USC coaches, Lane Kiffin offered Matt Leinert's son a scholarship. Matt Leinert's son's in like 6th grade. I don't even know if he plays football. I actually didn't get that from the story. What I saw was
also not of a bubbler. I think he is. I feel like I saw.
I'm sure he does.
Like playing flag.
But hey, the last kid Lane Kiffin offered a scholarship to. Do you know who it is?
JT Daniels?
No. Early, like a 7th grader or like a 12-year-old or whatever.
Is it like, I don't know who it is?
It's All-American wide receiver David Stills at West Virginia.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I heard about that.
Yep.
Did he commit?
I mean, the kid was like in 7th grade when he
committed. I know, but he said he was going to do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he committed.
And then Lane Kiffin got fired, and who knows what happened. The kid went to junior college or something, and now he's like a pretty solid wide receiver.
Hey, West Virginia's got a nice little program.
Eye for talent, Lane Kiffin.
Dana Holgerson.
Open the door back for Lane. It's an option. It's an option.
You'd take him.
I would in a heartbeat.
Man.
All right. Once we get to Lane Kiffin talk, I know the podcast has gone off the rails.
Okay.
So I don't think I have any other USC news and notes. Follow Greg on Twitter. Like I said in the open, Greg is the hardest working man at uhnd.com.
I don't think that's true, by the way.
I know.
It's definitely Frank.
One of two things happens. Either the people listening believe it, or the people at UHND hear it and get mad at us, but that means they're listening too.
Or people go to check, in which case the site gets clicks.
Exactly. It's a win.
Everyone wins.
Everyone wins. So follow Greg on Twitter, Greg2126. We're at Tilting Ground on Twitter. Whoa. New podcast every week. The next podcast will be at its appropriate time, Monday morning. And fight on.
Go Irish.